Now then, on a little bit more of a serious note, one of the things, and this is one of the reasons why you'll so rarely run into another kingdom, because we're already very rare to encounter in the first place. And the reason why it becomes even rarer for you to ever encounter one is most are very secretive about what they are. And the reason is many of them are animals that are social beings. So unless you're something like a particular type of snake or reptile or some other animal that lives out on their own and has little to no contact or things to do with others of their own species, this becomes an issue for you because human society does not really tolerate difference. And especially as like a kid, for instance, if you're on the playground or in a school setting or other group setting with other children, you do not want to be different than the other children. You want to be wearing the same cool clothes that the other children are wearing, or you'll get made fun of. And if you're particularly different, you'll get really made fun of. And you don't get much more different than not being human at all. And this continues on into your adult life. And common responses that you get is, things to the effect of, "You're insane, you're crazy, you need help." And on top of that, you also have within your own family a relative degree of ostracization. Either they'll think you're joking, and if you leave it at that, it'll pretty much end there. Or if you make it like, "No, I'm actually serious," you risk being ostracized from your own family, coming out, as one friend of mine puts it, coming out of your stall. So, most otherkin tend not to speak of it whatsoever, and they just simply don't risk it with their friends and family. So you can have a otherkin friend and literally never know that that's what they are, even if you would be completely okay, with them and not, ostracize them in any way. They're just not willing to take the risk that you might. On the other hand, you have idiots like me who, yes, my species is very herd-based. The being a part of the group is required for you to not die. If you get kicked out of a herd of horses as a wild horse, you're dead, more or less. However, because of the nature of what I am, because I'm not just a winged horse, I'm a guardian, and to a lesser degree, to a more or less of a degree, the fact that my herd is still there for me. So I don't actually need other physical people here because I still have access to my herd and their wisdom. So I don't care. And that's why I'm here making these recordings, because I feel since I don't care as much, then I'm able to talk about this a little bit more freely, or a lot of it more freely, depending on the individual, than some other people. So my goal here is to educate you on A, we exist, and then B, give you an idea how to interact with us. And so with some individuals like me, for instance, being a winged horse is a pretty a major part of my psyche. And as such, I have had friends pretty much give me an ultimatum of rescind it, rescind my claim, or in other words, deny what I am, or they won't be my friend anymore. And for some people, this is a terrifying prospect of losing a friend, especially if you don't have very many friends. For me though, on the other hand, I went, that's fine. If I have to be something other than what I am in order to be your friend, I don't need a friend like you. and I'll simply just not be their friend anymore. I mean, if they want to come back and be my friend, sure, I'll give them a another try. I don't tend to hold a grudge. There's a few people out there who are lucky that I don't hold grudges, because they would probably not be alive right now if I was a violent grudge holder. Um, However, I am not willing to let someone hold that over my head in order for me to be their friend. So it doesn't affect me as much. But for some people, it is absolutely debilitatingly terrifying, the prospect of having your friends and family not accept you. So instead of risking it, you just simply don't mention it at all. And on another level of this, um, is like, for instance, is your job. So if you're a child still, this is not as much of an issue. Yeah, at worst, you get talked to at school, or your family kind of ostracizes you or whatnot. But one area which even I have to be somewhat careful about is when you're at a job, especially if it's the kind of job where you have to be particularly mentally stable, and they may have concerns that you're not fully stable if you come out of the stall. So, in those instances, in my particular case, in my job, I kind of kept that under wraps entirely for about the first year, and didn't even start hinting at anything like that until about the first year into it. And then by now, where I'm almost 3 years into this job, and my boss is so used to me saying random BS constantly, as and being a very random type of individual who I do come across as insane. If you didn't know me and you just simply heard me talking, you would think I was absolutely insane. And if you heard me talking at work with one of my friends at work, you would think I was a huge racist too, on par with like I should be like the Grand Wizard of the KKK, because I play a really good racist. But I'm actually a speciesist, not a racist. You see, I hate most of humanity just about equally. So, and I view horses as obviously the superior species. So it doesn't matter to me if you're, white, brown, black, yellow. You're still human, which means you're still far below me. But I digress. In the case of at work, even I had to be careful before fully being open about this. And the reason is because I kind of rely on my job in order to get the money that I use to buy food. And the last time I checked, otherkin need to eat just like everybody else. So I did for a while place that above that, and actually because I've had basically 2 jobs in the time that I've been that my equine soul has been fully woken. And the first job I had, I was at that job when when my soul actually fully woke, and I now hate that word because the liberals took it over. But anyway, we're gonna keep using it anyway. And by that point, I had already been in that job for at least a year. Yeah, because I had become full time just shortly before that, so it was at least a year before it fully woke, and so pretty much from the get go, I was rather open about it, almost instantaneously. But my new job, going into that after 6 years at the same job at a gas station, I then was like, okay, well, just for now, just so I see that, make sure this works out, because you always worry when you start a new job that things aren't going to work out with it. You're already nervous about so many other things. I just kept that on under wraps, and it also probably didn't help that I started carrying regularly, almost right after I started my new job there. So because of the fear, bringing it back, because of the fear of ostracization, and because of the requirement that so many species, along with humans and so many other species, require you to be in good standing with your group in order for you to not die. Most otherkin are going to be very secretive about the fact that they're otherkin, and even down to for a time, I was in an online group, a herd, if you will, specifically for otherkin equines, and many of the members there were actually rather secretive, even with otherkin equines, and they so even in that kind of supposed to be safe setting, many of them were still very nervous. So you can imagine when you then go into a somewhat unknown environment with potentially very hostile people, just how unwilling to take that kind of risk most are going to be. So if you have an otherkin friend, good luck finding out. And if you do know you have an otherkin friend, understand that they, especially if they're not as particularly open about it, and say they're only really open with you, understand that the reason for that is extreme fear of ostracization.